All right. Hello, everybody. Bonjour. My name is Milena Audino. I am the Business Information Officer here at the World Trade Center, Winnipeg. So thank you for joining today's webinar, Seal the Deal, Strategic Steps to Building Global Business Partnerships. I would like to start with today's webinar with our land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that we're gathered on the lands of Treaty 1 territory and that Manitoba is located on the traditional and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabeg, Innu, Denesilan, and Dakota Oyate nations. We acknowledge we are also on the homelands of the Red River Métis and that northern Manitoba includes lands that are and were on the ancestral lands of the Inuit. So the World Trade Center Winnipeg team respects the treaties that were made on these territories, and we acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and present throughout our nation. So before we begin, I just want to share a couple of housekeeping items. So number one, please send all of your webinar questions directly in the chat box. Should be just at the top of your screen, and we'll try to answer as many as we can, and there will be a Q&A session at the end. And then lastly, you will receive a PDF copy and a recording of this presentation within the next week. So I would like to introduce you to Jose Manuel Castellon Alvarez. So Jose is the CEO of IB7 Consulting Limited, where he helps Canadian SMEs expand into North America throughout strategic onboarding and international partnerships. With experience across aerospace, electronics, and food industries, he brings cross-sector insight and a proven ability to turn complex operational challenges into clear, actionable strategies. His work integrates logistics, branding, and market entry expertise to help companies build credibility and compete effectively. So welcome, Jose. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Milena. Thank you so much, and thank you to World Trade Center for this invitation. Really happy to talk about this topic it's my passion right now. Thank you so much. So let's move on to the talk in the presentation. So seal the deal. How do we get there, right? So good morning. I'm really excited to be here. So when we talk about strategic steps to building global business partnerships, how do we do that? You have a lot of questions and that you would like to get some response, some guidance, some information about how do we do it. Especially, I will be talking about Edge framework, which is kind of one of our strategies on how do we wanted to make it something simple for people to follow it and to make sure that you feel comfortable trying to understand how do you become eventually international. Yes, we always get invitations to go to missions, to go to expos, to go a lot of places, and it sounds tempting, but we have to be ready for that. So let's talk a little bit about the Manitoba, where we are located. So Manitoba has a strong global potential. We have a lot of leading industries here. Of course, one of the most important, it's agri-food, which most of the time I get involved and I'm supporting in my past years here in Manitoba. Also manufacturing, aerospace, and logistics are very important. What I was trying to find, where do we export here in Manitoba? So we normally do it to US. Yes, of course. I don't know if I mentioned already, I'm Mexican, but I'm familiar with our neighbors. So now here working in Canada, it's really interesting to see how this sometimes could be a blessing, sometimes could be, like a little bit challenging to have someone as US as your neighbor. In this case, how do we prepare for that? Also, we export to Japan, China, and of course, don't forget Mexico. It's super important, and I've been focusing because of my background in Mexico as well. So, but entering to new market is just not about opportunity. We have to be ready. We have to prepare, and that's what we are going to be focusing today. Choosing the right partner. So how do we get to another country? I know some sounds overwhelming, sounds stressful, sounds a lot of work, a lot of job, and how do we do it? We'll continue talking. So some of the things that you have to think, what if we look for a partner? You don't have to do it by yourself. So let's look for how can I find someone in the other country that can guide me, can help me, and we'll see the different type of partnerships that eventually you can develop. So of course you can help use these partners to help you with navigating the cultural differences as well. kind of reduce the risk. If they already have a supply chain, it might help, right? Leverage the trade missions effectively, and we'll talk about trade missions and also how do I maximize my return of investment. This is just an introduction, and we'll go deeper in these topics. So the big challenge that we have as an SMEs. So even with the strong products, we love our products. We believe in our products. How do we sell these products? We have to make sure that we focus not only, they don't feel that confident just because your product sells here. We need to make sure that we do have a complete strategy on how to get to the other country. Manitoba companies face common barriers like there's crowded markets. Probably your product already exists in the other products. I just attended a fancy food expo in New York. So many products, 3 floors, of the exposition holds, and you see probably the same product so many times. So how do we get there? Also, of course, we have to take into consideration potential barriers in cultural and regulatory complexities, especially nowadays with having our neighbor that sometimes it's kind of like in we have to cross it, we have to go through it based on logistics, etc. So how do we handle all that? Limited visibility in unfamiliar markets. People don't know you. How do you get to know? How do you get some presence in that market? Navigating the trade missions could be overwhelming. We'll talk about that. And the last one is difficulty identifying the right partners. How do we do it? How do we help you to do that? You can reach out to so many organizations here in Manitoba, like World Trade Center, talk to the global affairs, especially when you're trying to go to any other country. But let's talk about a framework that you can learn, that you can have in your office and follow it. So sometimes SMEs struggle not because of the lack of the opportunity. The opportunity could be there. You could meet so many people in an expo or in a mission, but are you ready for that? Are you ready? Are you prepared to have the discussion, to get into that negotiation, try to understand the country, try to understand the culture, etc. Poor betting, we have to go sometimes and we have to make sure that we do understand that there's some cost involved here. And we'll talk how the cultural differences might affect that part. It's not about sometimes just going there and say, let's start selling, let's do it tomorrow. Some cultures have a specific methodology of doing negotiations. The cultural misalignment, are we sure that our product is ready for that market? And also sometimes we struggle with a follow-up. We come back from all these missions. How do we prepare for that? Let's talk a little bit more about that. Why partnerships matters. Partnership, having a partner in the other country can help you to unlock new markets. They're already there. They're already selling in that market. So having that knowledge, that background, having that present already in that market can help you a little bit. Some partnerships as well are important to help us. Maybe I can improve my product by utilizing a potential technology that it's already existing in that country. What if we add some value to our product? And right now, based on logistic challenges, what if we do our value to our product in that specific country? So you can talk about those strategies. And also, a potential partner could have that already present in the customer base that you are looking for. Maybe you have the same niche that you will be selling to. So think about that when you're thinking, when you're reviewing your plan. So this is a framework that IB7 created. So we wanted to make it simple for people, for company to review it. It's very easy. So evaluate first, develop, grow, and then execute. And I'll go through the framework. Why did we create this? So we wanted something simple for companies to make it, their day-to-day activities. Every time I'm planning to go to another country, every time I'm trying to go to an expo, or if you're participating in the upcoming Mexican mission, use it, follow it. So in this case, provides a repeatable path for sustainable success. also can help you not only for expansion, but have you thought that potentially you could do some operational improvement by providing the value added to your products in the other country? And the last one, it's kind of like a mindset. If you continue doing it, following, it will become this mindset that can help you and remember, help you to reduce the risk. So let's go to the first one, to the E of evaluate. So in evaluate, so if some partnerships could fail, and most of the times could be because we are not talking to the correct person. So every strong global partnership starts with one critical step, confirming you're talking to the right person. How many times sometimes we spend time, we go to the mission, we meet someone, we continue talking, but it's not the correct person to make those decisions. How do we make sure that we talk to the correct person? So one of the things that you have to take is credibility. And I know it's overwhelming. You want to look for their web pages. Do they have a web page, to start with? Their emails. Is it a Google email? How do I know that it's a trustable company that has presence in the market? And you can use several ways to do it, right? Of course, always doing internet research will be good, but once you start going to the country, you can reach out to many organizations, Canadian business organizations. They are located in those countries, World Trade Center offices, global affairs, but always ask the question, do they have the real track record that you're looking for? And how do you know that they have a good reputation? Check for reference, talk to people, talk to global affairs, talk to WTC, do some background checks when you're trying to reach to these companies. Also, the next one, capacity. Are they at the same level as you? Are they going to be satisfying whatever, if either selling or their manufacturing of your product in there? Can they actually support your growth where you're trying to be? And the last one would be alignment. Sometimes alignment, we take it over granted and we don't focus on, are we sharing the same values as an organization? Are we sharing the same goals and the vision? Sometimes that feed does, probably the capacity and the credibility is there, but are they aligned to our values? Take it into consideration for the future, because maybe it could be something that could disrupt your potential partnership. So kind of like giving you a checklist items when you're going through the evaluate and vetting, when you're visiting, when you're trying to go or prepare before you go to the mission or to the expo, is try to ask for some of these questions about what are the financial indicators. Start asking for correct questions, right? Sometimes I was working with a company. I continue asking, what are your KPIs, KPIs, KPIs? We're familiar with KPIs. They were never showing. And then eventually, when we were doing some background checks, we identified that this company was not actually supporting their customers. So just with that, just their own customers, it was affected. How it will be with your partnership. So probably it's a really good red flag to say, I don't want to continue here. So also your operational capabilities, walk the process, go and visit the company, go and walk the process so many times, especially when I do visits for food industries. I know I'm going to say something very simple, but I always, when I'm doing the visit, you're walking the process, you're visiting the company. Sometimes, you have to dress up with a proper equipment to walk the company. I always interrupt my tour and I said, can I use your washroom? Because sometimes the visitor washroom is the cleanest one, right? You want to go to where the operators are. And that is a really great representation about healthy environment in that organization. Just one tip that when I talked to Melody and Tamir, they were like, really good tip. So pass it on, right? Also, market reputation. Start asking for that company reputation. Look at their social media. Ask people around. You could get really good feedback about that. What is the cultural capability? Again, if we go back to the values, the goals, and the vision, that could be similar to your cultural awareness and to cultural capability between both countries. In this case, we'll talk a little bit about that. And WTC here, Tamir gave a really good presentation about we are not the same. Work the beauty about being here in Manitoba is we have people from all over the world. So we are getting a little bit of feedback, a little bit understanding on how do we do business with people from other places, but it's not the same when you're there, right? It's not the same, and we have to be careful there. Red flags, remember, red flags, legal. Is there any issue happening with this company? Compliance, political risk. Make sure that you're aligned with it. And inside of the evaluate, make sure that you understand the different type of partnerships. This is a small partnership matrix that you can follow. So how much investment are you trying to do? How much control do you want to have in this potential partnership? Is it low, medium, high? So you have different ways to follow it. So do you want high investment? So you're talking about a joint venture, right? You want to have high control. You want to probably it's going to be asking you for higher investment in this commitment. You can move on a little bit lower. A strategic alliance. You can do just a medium high or medium to high control of your product or your co-branding and your relationship with this company. Are you sharing resources for marketing, for supply chain? That is a really good opportunity. And I'll talk about co-branding. Co-branding, co-manufacturing, that's a good strategy for you to move on, to move to the next step. I don't want to commit that much. I don't want to invest that much. Let's lower down okay, find a distributor that can help you to sell your products in that location. Your inventory, they will be the ones responsible. They will be the ones using it. Of course, it's a faster market entry because they already have the customers. They already have their distribution channels. You might have a little bit, investment up front. Of course, they're going to be charging you for that, the space, the logistics, the moving, marketing, something, but it's already there. The channel is there. The last one, which has low investment and could be your entry to the country, is having an agent or a represented or a rep or a representative in the country. It has the lowest control. You're going to be waiting for whatever they do. It's commission based on the contract, based on the sales. Okay, it's a minimal investment for you. This one would be really good for you want to just test the market, check the acceptance of the customers of your products. Do they like it? They don't like it. Just try it. It could be not a big investment. It can help you a lot. One more slide for evaluate, and it's very important. I know we have specific talks from WTC talking about this, but please make sure that you understand cultural intelligence. Do a deep dive of the country. Are you sure? Are you aligned to this country? Are you understanding the country? Sometimes these minimal, differences can disrupt the entire negotiation, right? So Canada, from this perspective, it's a low context communication culture. We want to go, we're direct. Let's do business. Let's do it today. I'll send you my product next week. We want to do it fast. Time is money. Not in all countries, especially nowadays that we're trying to go to Japan, Korea, Middle East, or Latin America. And I can tell you from Latin America because I'm Latino, I'm from Mexico. So no, first we have to build that trust with them before we move on for the business negotiation or anything. Sometimes having the knowledge of, do they have kids? What is their favorite football or soccer team, especially if it's coming up this summer? So you need to understand the person. Go and eat, go and visit them, go and spend time with them. First, develop that relationship, then you move on to business. But think about that. How much are you going to be investing on this? It's not just one trip, probably. So deals often stall, not because of the product issue, but the relationship gaps that we are not developing, right? So if you invest in cultural intelligence, you get an unfair advantage. Make sure that you are prepared for that country. So once you're ready, let's move on. Let's develop. Are you ready for this investment? So you already have the partner. You already have the company that you would like to work with. Okay, Be ready for global growth. It's not about ambition. We all want to sell our products all around the world, but are you in the correct time? Do you have the capacity to do it here in Manitoba? Are you willing to sell from here? Or based on the investment, can you produce in other country instead of sending it from here to there? Maybe cheaper, maybe easier, maybe avoid a little bit of restrictions from logistics, especially if we're going to cross our neighbor, right? So talk about that. When to pull the trigger, you need to make sure that you're ready, that you have the capability, and that you're willing to do the investment. Sometimes just the mental investment, it's a lot, right? Can burn you out. So budget planning, make sure that you do have the budget. We have amazing programs here in Manitoba and in Canada that you can reach out to EDC, other places to ask for some investment, some support to help you to get to those countries. Also, the internal capacity requirements, and even though it's in our scorecard, in our internal capacity, is your team ready for that? Probably you're ready, but is your team ready for this effort and this endeavor? Also, you have to travel. Either you or someone from your team has to be ready, has to have the mindset and follow the EDGE framework in order to be ready for that. Some readiness scorecard that you can use. Is your product ready for that specific market? Not because everybody loves it here, it's ready for the world. You need to make sure which country are you going to and how do you prepare. Something important for our products here in Manitoba and Canada in general is that people love Canadian products. Everybody loves Canada. A lot of countries love Canada just by putting the flag, just by making sure that it says that it's come from Canada, people will accept it. So that's something that we can take into consideration, but always test the market, right? Make sure that it's proper. Uh, Cash runaway. Do you have money? Are you ready for it? Staffing readiness. Again, probably you're ready. Is your team ready for this? Compliance and logistics. Make sure that you are compliant and that you have all the paperwork, all certifications ready for that specific country. All countries are completely different. Make sure that you understand that. Sales coverage, who's doing this? And if you go back to the previous one, based on your partnership, maybe you will have some support here if you decide to go for any potential partnership. And the last one, make sure that the partner onboarding plan, it's proper. You guys meet often, you have all the skills, all the tools necessary, the vision, the everything in ready for this to move on. If we move on now to grow, now is the time. Yes, I want to go everywhere. I want to go to each and every expo. I've been to Hanover Messe. I've been to Seattle. I've been to ANTAD in Mexico. I've been to Select USA in Washington, D.C. They're all amazing. It's a beautiful moment to go and meet and, talk to so many people. But it's not just going. It's not a trip, right? You need to make sure that you are prepared, and you have to be prepared with our recommendation. Pre-mission, make sure that you pre-qualify some leads. Don't wait for whatever agenda, whoever is putting it together, don't wait for until you talk to them. Try to do some background check before you go there. Try to understand if you're going to be connected to them and if you're going to be aligned to these potential companies. Also remember cultural preparation. What is your pre-booking meetings? Sometimes you can do the pre-booking. I love to be prepared way advance of me going to any expo, and I have some meetings already prepared. Yes, leave some room for whatever happens at the event, whatever you're walking around. Yes, there are opportunities that comes like that way, but it's better to have your meetings, some of your meetings already set up, right? 3 KPI rules. Make sure that you have meetings, that you have your demos ready for whenever you're sharing with them, and what are the potential commitments that you would like to get from this. During your mission, make sure that you create some scripts. I know sometimes it's difficult. You can introduce some words from the country, from the language that you're going to, and be ready to have those scripts with you handy for whenever you need to start old conversations. Structure a meeting flow. How do you want to go through this? Follow the EDGE recommendations. A quick fit assessment, are we get some data? That's not going to be on your first meeting, you're not going to have a partner, right? How do you make sure that you develop have a plan with them, right? Have a potential documentation during your conversation from yourself, and also ask documentation from the company, all the demos, all the paperwork. Sometimes we have our profiles, our binders, stuff like that. Make sure that you have it. We come back. Yes, that was awesome. We met so many people. You ended up with 200, business cards or connections through LinkedIn. Do the post mission. 48 hours, do a follow-up. Start sending messages. Thank you for meeting you. It was great. We would like to continue, but not just that send or that follow-up. Follow the 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and then have that cadence, because sometimes you invested so much money on going, but you forget that follow-up, and sometimes we miss a lot of opportunities just by following up with the people. Have relationship nurturing framework that you can use and have it often, and make sure that your team has it if they're the ones who are going to be traveling instead of you. Have a CRM system that can help you with this. Now with technology, we can prepare it and plan it for the 7, 30, 60, 90 days, right? If we move on to execution now, negotiation and closing. If you don't understand your partner's negotiation style, you're guessing, right? That's the big, how do I make sure? I already bet my partner. I already went there. I already prepared. Went to the visits. How do we close a deal? And sometimes that's the most difficult part, to make sure that all your investment closes those deals. And it's super important to think. Again, go back, cultural negotiation styles. Maybe we're not aligned the way that we want to close those negotiations. Of course, you're coming here from Canada. The first thing that you're thinking, in every contract, I want to set that we are going to do any elicitation or any issue, it's going to be fixed here in Canada. Of course, I want to be protected. But am I affecting a negotiation? How do I make sure that I'm not offending? How is their style, right? Sometimes negotiation looks different across cultures. Some values the speed. I want to close it fast. Maybe the other country doesn't want to close it fast. Think about that. Other value relationship above. Oh, that's something that you have to take into consideration. Like I was saying, in the cultural aspects, especially if I tell you from the Latino perspective, sometimes relationship is way more important. Business will come up, but develop that relationship. Decision authority mapping. Who's making decisions? Am I making the decisions? Is the other company making decisions? Make sure that you do not affect that relationship and affect that reputation, right? Anything that you say, you have to commit it, right? You have to comply it and deliver. Concession strategy. Who's responsible? Who's going to take the rest of this, right? And use data, and again, continue asking for KPIs with data. Make sure that the company follows data. That's a really good representation to understand if they have process. I teach I teach in Red River College as well, and I always tell my students, follow, the golden triangle: people, process, and technology. If they have KPIs, if they have data, that means they have really good process to follow. So it talks well about this company. Key areas to take into consideration for closing any contract. Political risk, yes, it's something that you have to take into consideration. Legal contracts, of course, always have your lawyer close by in order to review all potential contracts. What is the financial stability from the country, especially in exchange rates as well? What is the supply chain vulnerability? How do we do it? I know right now it's complicated. There are more regulations, there are more strategies, there are more ways for you to take into consideration when you want to go to any other country. And the last one, think about cybersecurity risks, right? Are we protected? Are they protected? Are we transferring information to them? That our order, our forecast, all this information is something that you have to take into consideration. When you're trying to close the contract, always consider the governance. Define the roles. Who's doing what? Who's responsible for that? For what? Set the KPIs. Again, I'll continue saying over and over. Schedule quarterly meetings. Follow up. It's always about the follow up. You don't want that contract to die. Build trust through consistency. Make sure that all the orders are following, are moving. You have really good communication. And if you have someone from your team that will take all this into consideration, continue using it. So this is the overall, the Edge template or the Edge framework that we created. I hope this helps you to go through each of the letter, evaluate, develop, grow, and execute. You have all our checklists, right? Things to consider. Make sure that you're thinking, if you follow and if you created this mindset, can help you a lot to make all these different connections. So I have a case study. One of our clients, a case study. We had a goal, perfect. Expand global reach through trusted Latin America brand. Okay, we have two companies. Us as IB7, let's help them to close this contract, get to a point. Create a co-branded culinary product, leveraging both brands and strength. We saw the opportunity. We saw this connection. We started helping them. We went through the Edge framework. We went to the country. We visit. We walk the process. We visit the company. We vet the company. It's a big corporation. It's a good company. I'm not going to say which one it is, and I'll tell you why. We help them to build this international brand credibility for long-term market entry. Both companies are supporting each other right now. What are the benefits? Access to the new retail and consumer segments with these co-branded product that both decided to collaborate. Share market asset and cross promotion, and also create better visibility for both companies, especially Mexico, US, and Canada. If you find a partner that can help you to take your product to their country, great. But also you can help this company to bring their products here into Canada. You already have a supply chain. You're already set here in Canada. You have your customers. And especially if both of you have the same niche, this is a great opportunity to help you. You can help each other, and the risk of going to any other country, it's going to be reduced because you're supporting. But first, make sure that you follow the Edge process. In this case, we help these two companies. They sign a contract, and it's been going since last year, and it's going well. It's moving on. If you would like to know from firsthand what was following the Edge framework and how was it moving on from this country to the other country, going to the visits, understanding and listening from representatives and the CEOs of these companies, we're talking about a potential talk in the near future to talk more about these co-branded contract. But it's an example. Think about it, and maybe you can use it. So takeaways from this talk are, remember that success comes from clarity, preparation, and follow-up. Sounds simple. Yes, follow-up. We can dive in follow-ups. Choose the right partner through structured vetting, right? So make sure that you follow, especially ask for the checklist. Prepare before you go. Readiness drives your return on investment. Make sure that it doesn't become just a field trip. And follow through discipline, execution, and sustain that partnership. Make sure that you're following that partnership and that you're ready to do it, right? So thank you very much. That was my presentation. Now, if you have any question, if you put it in the chat already, I'm here and happy to respond.
Where do you make sure that IP is protected in the process?
Oh, that's a good question. Depending on the country that you're going, but even if you say, because I work a lot with Mexico, right? I'm Mexican, I go to Mexico. So one thing that it's always in our mind, and I have seen it so many times when I attend other events. am I gonna miss? Is someone gonna steal my product? Is someone gonna steal my brand? Is someone's gonna steal, my recipes, everything? There's so many products already in the market. Don't think that people will be stealing you. First, make sure that you follow their legal system and your legal system. Be always prepared. Document everything. People are not willing just to steal. Sometimes, and I see it in food products. When we create sauces, you know, I don't want people to steal my brand. Do you know how many sauces it already exists in the market? Like when you go to New York and go to fancy food, there's so many, but there's a story behind your product. And I think it's really important that your story, it's covers your branding and your organization, but always have the correct people in your team. Your lawyers, make sure that you follow all the legal process in that country, in your country. And if your product will be there, make sure that your brand it's already registered in that country as well.
Perfect. Thank you. People are saying, thank you, Jose. Really helpful tips. I have a pretty general question. So when companies think that they're ready, I guess to go, for global partnerships, like what's the most common thing that they overestimate?
That they overestimate. I think
Hmm.
how fast things will be. You know,
Okay.
a lot of times, especially I used to travel with Canadian delegations,
Hmm.
specifically Mexico, just to put a country in perspective.
Yeah.
They go, they have their schedule, they go visit they have this conversation with the company. Of course, it's going to be an amazing conversation and it's going to be super happy.
Hmm.
Not going to end there. You have to
Right.
invest on going and visiting, following up, right? So we underestimate that cultural difference that we
Yeah.
don't understand the country. So make sure that you do follow, go several times, go and visit, go and visit the markets, go to the stores, try to
Hmm.
walk on how things move in order for you to understand how your product will be moving in that country.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? You'll receive the recording of this and then the slides as well within the next week. But if there are no questions, I included also some upcoming webinars and events that we are having within the next month. So thank you everybody for joining, and thank you so much, Jose. This was a wonderful presentation, super insightful, hence why there's probably not a ton of questions out there. But yeah, there's his email also on the screen if you guys do have questions and just didn't feel comfortable asking it. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you online soon again.
Thank you for the invitation. Bye.
Of course. Bye. Take care.